Good evening, one and all. Welcome to the St. Andrew Church of Christ NAB live session. This is our navigating live session. This evening's topic is habits that define you, how to create a better you. I just wanted to start off by saying thanks to everyone for attending. If you are not a member of the church, where you are honored guest, thank you so much for taking the time. We and hope that our presenters, Brother Alan Casey and Brother Trevor Smith, will definitely be of great benefit as it relates to the expertise that they lend as it relates to this topic. If you will permit me, I invite you to bow with me as we go to God in prayer, just as we begin, please. Our Father and eternal God, we give you thanks, O God, for today. We thank you so much, O God, for your mercies and your grace. We pray, Father, at this time, as we are about to delve into our topic, that you will just guide our presenters, that you will bless them with clarity of thought as they present to us. We pray, Father, that also, Father, as listeners, attendees, that we will listen attentively and we'll even re-examine or be willing to re-examine the ways in which, oh Father, we currently view the world and approach life, and where we see opportunities or definite instances, oh Father, where we can make an improvement based on the lessons taught tonight, we will be willing to do so. We just give you thanks, oh God, for your mercies, for your grace, for sending your Son to die for our sins, in whose name we pray. Amen. Again, thanks everyone for attending today. I'll be just going through some housekeeping matters before we do the introduction. So just asking our attendees, please keep your microphone and cameras off during the course of the presentation. At the allotted time, the presenters will indicate when they will be taking questions. That's usually at the end. You can either raise your hands or type in the chat, or be given an opportunity to go on voice to raise your questions. As it relates to the recording for this session, all our recordings are uploaded on the church website, as well as our social media handles. That information will be shared in the chat by the end of tonight's or this evening's session. So the recordings are available on the church website, as well as our social media handles, Facebook and YouTube. That information will be shared in the chat during the course of this evening presentation. Now, to get into the meat of the matter, our two presenters that we have with us this evening, Brother Andre Allen Casey. He is a Christian for over 33 years, and a counseling psychologist for over 8 years, and he has hands-on experience in counseling and several congregations and entities. He was trained in Alabama at the Heritage Christian University, and he holds a Bachelor of Arts in Bible with a minor in counseling. He also has a master's in counseling and psychology from the NCU in Mandeville. Brother Smith he's a member of the St. Andrew Church of Christ, and he's a behavioral modification coach and the CEO of Success with People Academy. He provides unique perspectives on interpersonal relationships, as well as monitoring behavior, self-monitoring behavior. He's an experienced educator with decades of experience in corporate coaching, and he's the author of Success in Marriage and 7 Keys to Lasting Relationships. Brother Smith holds an EMBA from the University of the West Indies in Business Administration. So before further ado, I invite Brother Smith and Brother Allen Casey to start the presentation.
Sorry about that. Right, I am Happy to be with you tonight, along with Brother Andre, as usual. I am leading the process for a while tonight. So thank you for giving me your attention. I am going to share my screen in a moment and then move on from there. Okay, so we want to look at habits and the anatomy. We want to look at really try to understand it a little bit better and to also respect the power that habits have over us. I think at the end of this session, and it's going to be a little series because it's an important topic, at the end of it, I think we will come to a better understanding of why sometimes we have such a challenge. Maybe as much with others, where we are saying to our partners or to others, why you can't just. And at the same time, I think I might get myself in trouble here with my colleague, Brother Andre, because he earns money from the challenge that we have in getting rid of some of our habits. So we need to go to him. But we will also see that in some instances, we still do need to go. It's not as easy as it sounds. So maybe I'm really actually promoting his business as well. All right, so we want to really investigate habits. Want to look at the structure of habits, how they are formed, why they hang around so long. We want to look at their impact on us and also look at how we can actually change them. And we're going to use different techniques. This is a series. We meet on first and third Saturdays. So we definitely will not cover the subject tonight. We meet for 90 minutes and we try to respect the time. So we will be back the third Saturday of the month. So we want to look at habits from different perspectives. We really are using different angles. We want to also focus on habits because studies indicate that we basically operate on autopilot for 40% of the time. Isn't that scary? That's frightening for me. So in other words, basically as we go through our day, 40% of the time, we haven't decided to do what it is that we're doing. It's automatically controlled by our habits. Interesting, yeah? No, it doesn't mean that all our habits are bad, but I think it's just a little scary for me that so much of my life is flashing before me without my even recognizing that it's happening. At an even deeper level, though, habits also help determine our very belief system. So our very beliefs, what we hold to be true, actually is an outgrowth of our habits. So, in essence, habits define who we are. Habits define who we are. All right, in a little while, I want to just lay some foundation, but in a little while, so I want you to be thinking about it. And to be honest, I'm going to just ask you in the chat, you don't have to do it right now, just wait, just alerting you, in the chat, whether you are in fact working on creating a new habit, whether it is learning something new, getting a new skill, behaving in another way. We just put yes or no. And the second one would be whether you're trying to break a habit. I'm not even going to call it a bad habit. You just want to not do something anymore. So we're going to ask for that. And the reason why I'm giving you a heads up before would be interesting to learn why you think people, it's not necessarily you, why you think people are challenged. What is it that would be a barrier to getting rid of a habit? Or, yeah, getting rid of, let us focus on getting rid of a habit. Why is it? What is it that would, why we don't just stop, give it up? So, be thinking about that. In a little while, I'm going to just ask you to put that in chat. All right, so we want to start by coming to a better understanding of our minds, this complex thing that we call our minds. And I'm going to look at it from the perspective of understanding the different kinds of minds that we have and the roles that they play. And this is supported by content from one of the world's most famous hypnotherapists. So that's kind of the background to this approach. As I said, we're going to use different contexts, different perspectives as we look at habits. So basically, when we understand our minds, we have three very separate and very distinct minds, you know, and they do different things, right? And surprisingly, they don't communicate as well as we would like, right? So let's look at what we're talking about. All right. So this is Gerald Klein. This is the hypnotherapist that I mentioned, and he shared this mind model. When it's unmuted.
Lock the door, Snotty.
Yeah, if you could mute your mic, it would be helpful. Thank you. All right. So this is the kind model which I really find very useful. So at the outer circle is the conscious mind, yeah, which is where willpower, capacity to analyze, rational thinking, all of those things reside, and short-term memory resides in that outer circle. And the inner circle would be where your subconscious mind is. That's where permanent memory is. And that's where habits, self-preservation, you know, the schooling out and your emotions, all of that is on that inner circle. And further in is our unconscious mind. You know, that is where the bodily functions come from, your immune system, that's how we breathe, etc. Okay, that also reflects permanent memory. I'm going to come back to the critical factor a little bit, but this is a model that we want to use for a while. Okay, all right. So let us look at the three minds. So the conscious mind, that's where we are now, hopefully. Nobody has gone off into the subconscious, not in a way. So this is where we are right now, conscious mind. And so, as I mentioned, the subconscious mind is at the level below, and the unconscious deals with our automatic bodily functions and our immune system. We want to talk about the conscious mind first. And the conscious mind represents basically our awareness. This is where we spend most of our time, and our conscious mind does four things, basically four things, right? One, it conducts analysis. Two, it seeks answers. It signals intent, and it recalls things. So we're going to look at each of these as we lay the foundation. What does this have to do with habits? Everything, okay? Because it is out of our minds and understanding our minds that we will start to get a footprint and understanding of habits. So bear with me. All right, so the first thing is conducting analysis. And the conscious mind is where we make decisions, where we identify a problem, where we analyze the problem, and where we solve the problem. All of that is taken at the conscious, rational level. It also helps us to navigate through life, right? Things that we might take for granted. But there is a decision actually as to which shoelace to tie first, which shoe to put on first, which foot to put in the pants first. Those kinds of things. Remember to turn off the stove. Did we close the door? All of those things. Also, maybe you're driving on autopilot to work. You think, but it's a decision. All right. So that's basically happening at the conscious level. You have to wonder about this driving when you see what's going on our roads. But yeah, it's supposed to be at the conscious level. This second role, if we understand it fully, can actually be very, very helpful. Our conscious mind is set up to seek answers, right? We are set up in a way that we do not like to leave things hanging. So let me give you an example before I just go through the other points. It would be you can't find your cell phone right now, etc., and you wonder where, and then you get frustrated, and you decide to go and do something else, and in the middle of that, it says, oh yes, I did put it over there, etc. That's basically what is happening. So if we leave the mind, and we have many examples of that, where we're struggling with something, we can't remember the name of the artist, and school's challenge, and yeah, we put our minds away or a crossword clue, and we just go and distract ourselves, leave the mind, don't bother it, and it gives you the answer. That's basically what the conscious mind is. And so one of the tricks, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but let me just suggest one of the tricks that we can do is to pose questions to our minds and do not answer them. Do not answer those questions, and then the mind will go and do its job of bringing you the answers. So, for example, if we want to develop a new habit, you can actually pose the question to your mind to say, why am I always so, whatever it is that we're trying to acquire? Why am I always so diligent if you're not a diligent person? And leave it alone, ask yourself the questions consistently, and your diligent mind will go and try to find answers. So part of it is the protection, of course. We try to rationalize our actions. And so need to get some answers for why something happened. We need to find it. Otherwise, we tend to get anxious, nervous, and frustrated. And unless we can find answers to questions that are at the forefront of our minds, we could get destabilized to the point where we actually need to go and have a talk with Brother Andre. All right, so let's move ahead. The other role of our mind, conscious mind, is that it signals intent. And this is where willpower resides. Willpower, New Year's resolutions, these commitments that we say, yeah, never again, or yes, I'm going to, So all of those resolutions, affirmations, that's part of the conscious mind. As we will see, willpower does not last. It tends to fade away, and old habits return to take over. So that is why the New Year's resolution, where are we now? February, give it another month or so, and the old habits of 2020 will be back in force. All right, let's move forward. All right, so it also recalls things. That's where your working memory is. So what is my telephone number? Where do I live? All of that. So we need that. We need that just to just get through the average day. This is not any big recall for an exam. This is basically something that we need to navigate through life. All right. So those are the 4 functions of the conscious mind. That's where we are. Okay. So let us look at the subconscious, the next level. Essentially, the subconscious functions like a video camera that is on us. You know, we have these television programs now that people are, you know, supposed to be real life. You're watching them and seeing what they're doing. But basically, so there's this camera that tracks what it is that we think, what it is that we say, what it is that we do. And so it captures us basically. So what's in the subconscious is who we are. And the key with the subconscious is just like with the camera, it can't play what it didn't record. Yes? So if you aspire to be operatic singer and you croak, what's going to come out is croaking. It doesn't record what's not there. So key to this, and this is part of where we start to look at now in terms of understanding habits and understanding the importance of habits, is that what comes out then is what has been played. What is coming out of your subconscious is part of your experience, part of what has been captured in the past. So in a real sense now, it manifests a definition of you. Yeah? And most of our influences come from our subconscious. So you can now see why change may be challenging, because what's happening is that the playbook is coming from the subconscious. The subconscious is a series of videos of who you are, what you have done, what you believe, all of those things. And then some information comes in that's not congruent with those things. What happens then? You're asking now your subconscious to say, hey, give me another script. Show me another video. But I don't have it. I don't have it. All right. So that's the challenge that we have now. This critical factor of the conscious mind. So as you can see here, the idea is that you have suggestions that are coming in, and this line here is the border guard that says, let me see your visa, let me see your ID, sorry, you know, we can't let you in. I can't let you in. And the challenge there is that the border guard, the critical factor, actually is a protective mechanism for ourselves that, you know, keep us sane and so on, and prevent us from doing outrageous things as well. But at the same time, it can also block us from taking new action. So that's really where the problem is. How do we get across the border? Yes? Maybe we need to have this stick wider because of fences that are being built. Let me behave myself. Right. Okay. So that critical factor actually is the reticular activating system. Yeah? I don't want to get into much of this, but it acts as a gatekeeper to that suggestions that is coming into your subconscious. And as we remember, 40% of what we do comes out of our subconscious, right? And so it blocks ideas that do not match the patterns in the subconscious. So let me spell this out so you understand this a little bit better. Let us say I have not exercised. I'm not an exercise. I do not like the idea of going out and running up and down and getting sweaty and all. That's not there. Okay. But I keep getting information that is good for your health, and I see all of this promotion, Jamaica moves, let's do something. And so I decide, okay, let's get moving. And so I might even actually buy some clothes. And then the only time I have is early morning, so I have to wake up a little bit earlier. So set the alarm, it rings. Man, I really went to bed too late. I'm a little tired. Maybe tomorrow. And so you shut down the alarm and go back to sleep. And that's the battle that we have, is the will to say, yes, I'm going to do this, but then there is the actual action where the habit just overrides. It happens consistently, and it really requires some adjustments, which we will talk about. I'm not going to carry you and just drown you with all of the problems. We're going to give you solutions. But so that's where it is. That's why this critical factor actually inhibits change and transformation. And I just want to stick something in as well, that when we are looking at others and we're getting frustrated as to why you keep on, understand that transformation, change, behavior modification is not as simple as we often make it out to be. All right, so let's look at, I thought Springer had some particularly good insights. So let us look at how the brain actually controls our attention. So this, I like to call it the critical factor, because that's what it is. It is this deciding factor. Do I throw this out or do I accept it? Is this me? Yes. In another environment, I have spoken about the prompter, teleprompter. That basically that's what's going on in our heads, is that what we are going to say or what we're going to do, they are, it's like, people with placards that are there working hard to present you with what to say. And basically the things that they're going to produce are things that are aligned to what you would say. They're not going to produce a speech that is totally out of alignment with what you would say. So that's part of what it is. So you're gonna get the constant prompts. Another way of looking at it, I like to look at analogies, is like the DVD, that has the light, so it's little pits in the DVD, so that when the laser goes, it actually pulls information from what is there. It can't play something, you can't have a Bob Marley DVD and expect to hear Mozart coming from it. That's not how it works. All right? Okay. So the critical factor filters incoming information, and it actually determines what you pay attention to, what arouses your interest, and critically, what is not going to get access to the 3 pounds, your brain. This is not passing. This is not passing. That's part of it. That's what protects who we are. That's what defines who we are, is that not everything that comes in, there is so much information now that's bombarding us that we can't allow for everything to be internalized. We have to reject some of it, to say, no, that's not me. That's not me. Yeah? If the idea comes for you to, steal something, you're saying, no, I'm not a thief. That's what the critical factor does. So while it is vigilant and it is doing those things, it is also at a point where it is saying, course, go and study on a Saturday night, go and do a webinar. You mad? That's not me. That is also the challenge that we have. is that it also potentially blocks out possibilities. All right, so here we go. For survival's sake, the critical factor response, you name anything that threatens your survival and actually information that you need. So yeah, you can get good information coming in. All right. It also responds to novelty. And so it is aware of what's different, what's happening, change environment, something is going on, alert, listen, what's happening here. All right. So here's a key point. It helps you keep your short-term goals in mind. So even when you don't realize you're thinking about those goals or these goals, your brain knows they are important and makes notes of anything that might relate to them. So it is a very useful tool on both sides. All right. Any questions? And we just deal with this part and then we can just see if any Brother Andre want to jump in or any. So basically, if we look at this map, I like it actually, this image, in the sense that this is where we are operating at the top of here. And then under the iceberg, that is where it is. A lot of what is happening is out of our direct control. So the willpower is great, and some of us are very bright. Some of us are analytical and make sensible decisions. But more of what we don't understand is driven by our past experiences, by our habits. So beliefs, our values, how we identify ourselves, whether we have high levels of confidence or low self-esteem, all of those things tend to be guided to a great extent by our subconscious and by the habits that have been formed there. I'm going to pause a little bit. And as I had promised, I want to ask you to look in the chat and just the first question is whether you are in fact, as Brother Andre lines up, whether you are in fact working right now to create a new habit. So if you could just put one, either YRN, in the chat, one. So that is question one, YRN. If you are in fact trying to create a new habit as we speak. Could you just do that for me quickly so that we have some sense of whether this is relevant to you? Everybody knows how to access the chat? Yes? Right. All right, you can just put, just put a one, numeral one for the first question and then a Y beside it, right? So that we don't have to type as much. Okay. And there's nothing private or so nobody's going to hold this against you. Are you trying to create a new habit? I'm going to give this a minute or so for you to do. Are you trying to create a new habit? One Y in the chat, please. Those of you who have already put in your one Y, I want, the next question is going to be, are you trying to break an existing habit? One Y or one no, one N. So please don't type in, I don't want to confuse it yet. Don't type in the second question yet, just allow some more. I'll tell you when, but I just want you to think about it. So one Y or one N, are you trying to create a new habit as we speak? I'm gonna give another minute. One Y, if you're trying to create a new habit. Okay. So we have some ambitious people on board. Wonderful. I should join as well. Yes. Okay. All right. So the second question now, so you're going to write two and either Y or N would be, are you trying to break an, an existing habit? Notice I haven't said bad. Okay. Two. So two, either Y or N. Are you trying to break an existing habit? Okay. And while the second question is being answered, last thing now, and this is not necessarily related to you, it's just as from your experience, your understanding of habits and behaviors. Why is it? What would you say? Just in a few words. We don't want a treatise, at least, right here. Just in your own words, in a few words, what is it? Why people can't break a habit? What is stopping people from just breaking a habit? Just not doing it anymore? What would be your understanding of why people just don't give it up? I'm not going to do this anymore. And at the end of this, I'm going to ask Brother Andre to chip in, so I can start to comment on some of those. So we're ready now with the three. Yeah. So it's too much effort, lack of motivation, too much discipline. Change is difficult, requires consistency. Yeah, the old habit is ingrained through years of practice. The will to do, addicted, right? Yeah. Stiff-necked. Like that. Because it's deep in the subconscious, hard to stop doing it. Lack the will. Don't think it is a habit. Nice. Okay, go on. Want to get some more of this? Another minute, and then Brother Andre opening it. I want to do it, but just keep doing it without even thinking about it. Yeah, that's part of autopilot. We socialize. Hard to break, but not impossible. Okay. All right. So I've put in one here, which is that the payoff is too great. We do things because there is a payoff. That's a very controversial statement, but it's true. Anyway, so we move on. All right, so another one is habit. Remove the H. All right. A bit, hold on, let me try and understand this clever. Move the H a bit. Remove the A. Remove the B. Still left with it. Oh, okay. Okay, clever. All right. And if you move the I, you're still left with a stubborn T. Okay, that's neat. So we don't know how to do it. Okay, that's why we're here today. Fear of trying and then end up not doing it anyways. Here we go. All right, Brother Andre, some input before we move forward.
Well, the truth be told, is I'm learning more than anything else right now. But one of the things that kind of jump out to me, I heard you said something, and I'm going to probably lean with you right there. I probably shouldn't, but I'm probably going to be using a different word, and I'm going to use reward. Why sometimes we have these habits, you know, and rather why it's so difficult for us to break away from some habits. The reward is satisfying. The dopamine is being full, whatever. If you understand what I'm saying, it is, there's some kind of reward for us, even when we don't realize it. But there is something is happening to us. I do believe that in any type of behavior change, if the reward is painful, then it you know, the habit can possibly cease and desist with immediacy, or it no longer becomes a habit. Another thing in terms of habit forming that kind of jumps out at me is where we have to reinforce it. So if we have a desire for it, the fact that we reinforce it, then automatically it is going to become a habit, because now you put the whatever is stimulating you, you have decided that you're going to act upon that stimulant, so to speak. So you have reinforced the desire. You go about to reinforce it, and then if there's a reward that follows that reinforcing, then understand that, whoa, we get catch and we don't even realize it. That's what I have to offer.
All right, great. I'm gonna talk. By the way, I just want to ensure that we have been recorded. Admin. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just for sure, because a number of persons have reached out to me to say they can't make it, but they want to. Get the recording. So there's a point here, Brother Andre, and just to clear that when we say the payoff, sometimes we are thinking, but this can't be good for this person. This why don't they? But sometimes the payoff is actually, the thing is painful, it is hurting, it's damaging, but maybe the payoff is that I want to get sympathy. The payoff, if you go back to the Colossians, you know, the persons who were actually injuring and hurting themselves because the body is sinful. So actually, by actually putting myself through excruciating pain, I am actually making myself more spiritually. So what I'm just saying, it's not even as easy to say that pain, or you can't really tell. There is a payoff, and that's why we have to look at it to see what is the payoff, why we continue to do it. So that's one reason for it, but there are a number of other reasons, and some of it, honestly, the bigger part of it is this 90% that is under here that we're not even conscious about. So that people are saying, we don't even know. We're going to look at some of those things. I'm not going to rush this because I think it's important. So yeah, it's going to be like a series, and we have different angles, but so bear with us as we go forward. So let us look at this question of the resistance to change a little bit more. Yeah. As I have been saying, the critical factor is really there to protect us. It's there to sift, you know, sieve is just like a sieve to say, no, this will contaminate, out with it. No, don't let this come in. That's basically what that is about. That is what the border patrol is about, between the conscious and the subconscious, you know. So if you're like, you know, ready to respond, you know, you see something, let us say you have a wife or a husband who watch TV and they see something promoted and they're saying, yes, special offer, and they pull out the credit card, you know? Yeah, that's maybe the spouse might have to take away that card because this is who we are. I can't miss out on this deal. That's part of what it is. There's a way that aligns, that the internal habitsing wants to be aligned with any new coming information. All right. Well, if a program comes on now that says about savings and make sure that you give up your credit card and so on, click, move on to another channel, because that's not who we are. All right. So his role really is to maintain the status quo. Stability is important. That's who we are. That keeps us from going off the rails and running up and down and being led by our noses for every little information. If we can go back to maybe 2 sessions ago where we talk about gaslighting, the critical factor is basically what could help us to keep us safe from being gaslighted, where we understand who we are at a deep level and we are not willing to accept this understanding of who we are. This information is not aligned to who we are. Yeah? So that's the part of it, right? Admin, somebody's not hearing. I'm not sure how to deal with that. Maybe log out and log back in, please. All right. So if then we're not to be who we have always been, and that's why I asked the question, are we trying to create new habits? Are we trying to get rid of existing habits? So there is a desire for transformation. If we are not to remain, if we are not to allow the subconscious, our existing habits, to determine not only the 40%, but everything as to who we are. If we are to make a transition, if we are to move, if we are to find a better you or a better me, then we have to find some way to get around the critical factor. We have to find a way to hurdle the critical factor. We have to find a way to get a visa. We have to find a way to let the border guard let us in. So that's basically what it is. Now, the difference between this presentation and a lot of what you will get from motivational speakers and a lot of it comes from the willpower and the affirmations, and to say this and to, yeah, do this, and yeah, rise up, get this, all of that is great, not knocking it. But if the habit is ingrained deeply, and if the payoff is great, the willpower alone is not enough. Promise you, right? And I'm not fighting anybody. All I'm saying to you is that rallying, I'm going to give you an instance. I don't want to tie up all the time though. There was a batsman, sorry, he was a cricket experience, yeah? A young Jamaican batsman playing test cricket early in his thing, whatever it is. Right? And he needed to, they were trying to play for a draw. And, overnight he was saying, they have to kill me out there. He's not getting out. They have to kill me out there. I don't think he lost about 3 or 4 overs the next morning. No, was his will power not sufficient? No. What happened is that he played a shot that comes from the habit, a habitual error, and he got out. All I'm saying to you, that's part of life, that your willpower is wonderful. Affirmations are great, but it's not enough. And that's why so many attempts at behavior modification and culture change initiatives, like in companies, organizations, all of those things tend to flounder after the adrenaline rush. Everybody sign up, yeah, we're gonna do this. Yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. We're not going away. And that's, to me, is something that we need to understand then. Willpower is not enough. Am I saying that you're not supposed to make determinations and to have positive, powerful intentions and affirm them and recommit to them? Not at all. I'm not saying that. I'm only saying, though, that you need to do more than that if you want to achieve sustained transformation. If you want to replace your behavior or create new behaviors, it requires some more than merely affirmation. Okay, so let's go back again. Just keep this in your mind all the time. So this is what we're talking about. And so here it is, new information is coming in. New information is coming in. And what we need to do is to have the information climb over. Oops, sorry. All right. So the information needs to jump over. This is where it is. Or somehow find a hole in the wall. Because this idea is, tell me what you're about. Oh, that's what you're about? No, but I don't see anything like that in here. Sorry. Bounce, 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 bounce. What we have to do is find a way to come over. That's it. That's the secret. So all of this bombardment that's coming there, you have this border wall right around it, and you have to find a way to get in here. I hope this imagery is helping you to understand what it is when you set about trying to create a new habit or to get rid of an old habit. There is a nice border wall, recently strengthened, and you have to find a way to penetrate. Okay, it's not letting you in, Baba. Okay, so there's a concealed power, yeah, because the subconscious actually defines how we perceive ourselves. It's if we consider ourselves to be rich, poor, sad, happy, thin, fat, righteous, evil, it's all coming out of our subconscious. And so it is the major determinant of how we behave. As we can say, it's not only, we're talking about the 40% on autopilot, but it goes beyond that because it controls our belief systems and all of those kinds of things. It actually impacts a lot more. Yeah. So reinforcement habits, which basically are our recorded experiences, will trump willpower. Goals are subverted by a call to who we have been, who we've always been. This is who I am. This is who I am. Diet, wonderful. But this potato pudding is, how could I? Know that I can't resist that. Yeah. So, looking at it from a slightly different angle. As I have been mentioning, we're using different approaches to look at this issue of habits. So I want to look at the neuroscience behind habits. Believe you me, maybe that's where we should just spend our time because it's so interesting. Anyway, so basically we have two minds at play. Yeah, different concept of minds now, not the four different minds, but what we're talking about here is a different classification. So I'm using different perspectives and dealing with the matter. So we have the intentional mind, which is your willpower, you're determined, I'm going to do this, your rational mind, etc. Right? And so when we are in our intentional mind, in that framework, when that is engaged and in charge, we actually set out and meet objectives, meet outcomes. Yes. So that's basically what it is. You know, if we can keep our intentional mind in charge, then we can actually say, yes, I'm going to study some scriptures, I'm going to read, I'm going to go to worship, and actually those things happen. So we can, in fact, make conscious decisions about what we want to do. And actually, those things need not have been a part of our experience. So change is possible. Yes? So we can decide that we want to stop smoking, for example, even though we have smoked for many years. Or we can say we want to start to go to church, even though we have not been inside such an edifice in our lives. So it is possible when our intentional mind is engaged. However, when the habitual mind, which is what we're talking about in terms of the subconscious that is coming on, is engaged, our habits function largely outside of our awareness. We go back over that. Basically, when the habitual mind is in charge, we're not even aware of what's going on. That is where the problem. That's why so many people are saying that I'm not even aware. How did I get here? How did I end up here? My father had a joke about the car. You know that horses can bolt. You know the concept of a horse bolting, that it just goes on its own way outside of the direction of the rider. Yeah. So, you know, he would travel a regular path, and if we are going somewhere else, but the first few streets that we start on leads to that destination, then you would find yourself almost there, right? And that's so he would say that the car bolted. So I did that once when I used to go to UE all the time, etc., etc. From I hit Mona Road, that's where I'm going. I find myself under the aqueduct, and I'm saying, why am I here? That's part of what is happening to us, is that there is a force that comes on that you don't even recognize what is happening. And so what Wendy would you know, who has this powerful book actually, our minds don't always integrate in the best way possible. I mentioned that earlier, that the minds don't necessarily communicate as well. Even when you know the right answer, you can't make yourself change the habitual behavior. Isn't this scary? Isn't this scary? Well, you know, yes. It's like somebody who, you know, it went to alcoholism, for example, or so. And we know that the favorite bar is on this road. We know, don't go by the bar. Don't go on this road. No, man. I mean, no, man, I give that up, man. Yeah, you say to me, you can't make this thing rule me. No. So you walk down. Hey, Trevor. Hey, what's up? Come on, it's a long time. Come on, man. Yeah. Where you drink? Okay. All right. Just one though. Yeah, okay, fine. Drunk already. Sorry. Okay, so basically, believe me, that sounds like a joke, but that's what it is. That's what it is. It is that habit that comes back. True. All right. I'm going to go ahead and myself a little bit and then come back. Let's talk about the neural pathways. I know it's going to come up later, but I just want to stick it now because it's important to understand it. All right. Anybody has seen a shortcut? Yeah. Yeah. So you have the nice lawn, whatever it is, but you see a shortcut to go somewhere. When you go in that area, where do you walk? Do you find another path? If you want to work out somewhere how to get over the other side? Let us say you live on one side and the bus stop is over the other side. Do you just follow the path? Yes, you do. And that's what is happening, is that we do not understand the extent to which physically, that's what the neuroscience is right now, physically, there are paths that are being laid out in our brains that direct what it is that we're doing. And the more we do the habit, is the deeper. If you just think about the analogy with the grass, is the the first day you walk on it, you don't know exactly where you are. But as you go, you start to see the grass trampled. They can go. Well, I run around my house, and because I don't want the grass to wear out, I try to avoid running over the same spot all the time. But still, in some areas, you can see the grass being eaten out. And that's basically what is happening. Right? And if I were not as diligent in terms of trying to protect the lawn, I would just be able to run on in the same footsteps consistently. That's what is happening. So do not underestimate the neurology behind habits. And so let us also not only be more understanding with ourselves, but also with others. Be a little bit more patient with others when we see that they continue with behaviors that we would rather that they didn't do. It's not as easy. All right. So there is this battle that's going on then between willpower, goal setting, and your strong habits. Yeah. So we are determined because we want to be better. We're not slouches, we're not slack people. We want to be better. So we do want to pursue being a better person. Put it that way then. Or we have goals that we want to achieve. We want to improve our education. We want to develop a new skill. We want to do many things. Improve our relationships. This series is about lasting relationships. So we want to do all of those things. So we determine these are things that we need to do, right? And that's what a lot of coaching does actually. It speaks to this, the tendency to focus on what it is that you want. And how can we motivate you to get these things done? And so a lot of work goes into goal setting, commitment, planning, making sure that we do this, and encouragement actually. However, studies indicate the effectiveness of such strategies in the context of ingrained habits. And I'm speaking now specifically about those neural pathways that are really firmly now there. And that's where the study. So ingrained habits actually have the upper hand. So let's look at what we're talking about here. So does that mean that there's no hope? If you have a strong habit, you can't get rid of it. No, we are just saying change the approach. Don't just look to willpower and commitment and affirmations. There's another way. And of course, you can do both clearly. Right? So, but the more successful habit comes from focusing on the context. The context. I don't want to go into this before. Let me just share what I'm talking about. The guy that I talk about with the bar, that road, that bar provides a context. If I'm on this road, then I'm going to stop at this bar. If I'm in this bar, then I'm going to greet my friends and we're going to have this drink. Context. If we take that gentleman and we move him to Antigua, and there is no access to a bar, or the automatic response isn't there, so we can change context. So that's an extreme situation. But if you move him, in other words, if he were to go to prison, he wouldn't drink because he would be known. So understand the importance then of context and triggers, because habits are triggered when certain things happen, you respond in a particular way. And if you can change the context in which those triggers come up, then you can actually change the behavior. Just stop a little bit and just think about what I'm saying. And trust me, I'm not going to rush this because this is important. If you are washing clothes, putting it out on the line, are you more alert to the weather than if you don't have anything outside? It doesn't really matter. Are you more alert? The first time you hear a little, you say, well, rain that? Okay. Because you need to go get the clothes off the line before. So you're going to look up, whatever. I'm just saying to you, context triggers behavior. I don't know if you can think of others, but just think about certain things that just flow one, after the other. And it is the context. So if we want to work on either changing our behavior, get it stopping or starting, change the context, and then have new triggers come to stimulate the new behavior. That is the fundamental principle that will work in order to change habits and to create new habits. Change the context. Move the person, if you want to look at it this way, out of that environment is another way, which is, so anyway, I'm going ahead. Let me just look at this second piece here because that was it. And I want to give credit, and this is not my cleverness, but these are research findings that come. So the first one is that you want to be vigilant in monitoring the unwanted response. Let me focus my attention there a little bit. All right. All right. Thanks, Baraji. All right. So yeah, let me go back up. Oops. Yeah. Be vigilant in monitoring the unwanted response. Why am I saying this? Many times in terms of once the habit is really starting to form and taking place, after a while you don't even notice it. Yes? In church, we can talk about it, The first time you do something wrong, oh my gosh, it's like, lightning out to strike you right away. You're scared out of your wits, etc. Second time, maybe the lightning not going to come immediately. And then after a while, that fear, that alarm that this could be happening, even the terms that we use to describe the action is modified. Remember, we talk about here, this thing is to protect us, this internal way. The way that we internalize things is to rationalize our behavior. We have to go into it and we actually nice it up. So that's what is happening. So what we need to do as a first step is to call out the behavior that we don't want. Every time, call it out, call it by the right name, let it know that this is not acceptable. So that's the first of the things. If you let it pass by without calling it out, then it's not helpful. But oh my gosh, this is really challenging. Let me just say one other thing though, that balance is so important. If, however, you overdo it and you keep on harping on the fact that you did this, what you are doing is actually reinforcing it in the subconscious. You see the challenge that we have there? So you can't ignore it, but if you dwell on it, all you're doing here is making it, creating deeper neural pathways in the subconscious. So you have to be careful. So the key then is to recognize it and move on. There we go again. I see you. Call it out. All right. I think some chat is happening. I just want to do this first and then I'll look. All right. The other thing would be, this, I like how people talk, you know. This environmental reengineering. That means move the person, get out of the place where the thing is happening. Move. That's what this says. Move. Change the environment. Don't walk down that road. Get away from there. If you know this is going to happen, then, yeah. If you see this image to click on social media, you know where to don't go somewhere else. That's what environmental reengineering means. So you go, keep away from where the triggers are, where change the context. All right. And so this is where it is now. The stimulus control, again, nice words. All it means is that stay away from the triggers that will cause you to do the things you don't want to do. Or if you want to look at the reverse now, where you want to create something, is that you definitely want to actually set up an environment which is encouraging. So one of the things that we say in the church is that stay in the flock, keep company with people of like mind, stay in the flock, because if you stay in the flock, the chances of being picked off on the outside is not as great. So that's part of the re-engineering. And the stimulus control could come from reading the scriptures, have the messages, from the scriptures in your up front, so that when the temptation comes, you can do like Christ and refer to the scriptures. That's what this is saying. That's what this is saying. Yeah. Nice words. Environmental reengineering and stimulus control. All right. So let me look. All right. All right. Okay. So someone is saying that we get desensitized after a while. Yes, that's what happens. That's how the bad habit gets ingrained. And that idea is all right. Whoa. Time fly. We definitely have multiple doors, but I don't feel that it is best to dash through. All right, so let us look at combating strong habits. By the way, in another session, we have a completely different approach to dealing with bad habits. So as I said, we're looking at it from different angles. All right, so what is this vigilant monitoring of the unwanted response? Basically, what it is track every time you respond inappropriately to the trigger and take corrective action. The key to this monitoring, let me tell you what the key is. The key is to predict. Yeah. Every time you fail to recognize that rain was coming and the children uniform wait up and can't go to school Monday, you will start to learn to know when sky set up and rain going to fall. Just that's all I'm saying to you. If you start to monitor, then you can see the things that led up to this. What happened before? What happened before that? And what happened before that? And so you can start to predict from out front where this is going to happen. So you cut it off. The last time I did this, and the time before that, and the time before that, here were the conditions beforehand. These were the things that were in place. What am I going to do now? The first time I see one of these, I'm out. I'm not going down here. I'm out. That's the idea of the monitoring, is to track the antecedents, the things that started the process, the things that led to it. Try to identify those signs and to see if you can avoid them totally. Hope this is making sense. Yeah. So yeah, it's a I don't know if you want to look at it, it's a technical approach to handling habits, but it works. It's much more successful than saying, boy, something, never again in my life will I, until well, we all know what happens after that. So the first thing to do is to look at the signs, and to then take the message from those signs. Scripture talk about way of escape? Yes, there are ways there, you know, signs around it. Of course, yes, we can still sit and deliberately do what, but at least we know what we're doing then. We are saying then, okay, fine, I understand that this is going to happen, but the payoff is too great for me not to do it. Own that. Own that. In which case now you need to go and revisit who you are. Because what you're saying is that when this happens is because this is who I am. I saw me stay, and that's why. So trigger, yes, I see you, I see all of you, but I don't care because this is who I am. Own that. Own that. And stop then pretending that you're trying to change the habit, because you're not. You're not. That's when then maybe you need to go and get the counseling. That's when you need to talk to somebody who has your best interest in heart to explain to you that you can in fact be better. You can in fact beat this if you are willing to swap out the payoff for a better payoff. That's where the dialogue needs to happen. So sometimes we need to retreat and to go back, and all of these techniques we're talking about are of little effect if we are so committed to the payoff. If who we are means so much to us that we're not really prepared to give that up. And that's a reality. That sometimes we are there. That just some mistake. Yeah. All right. So winding down here, mercy. Environmental re-engineering. So avoid the places and the situations that prompt you to respond in the ways that you want to curb. Just stay far from those enticements, and here again, take the steps to gather cues as to when the trigger will appear and work to avoid them. This is the detective work. Go back and do the research. Go back and think it through. When you are there beating up yourself to say, man, how did I get here again? Go back and trace it. Find out what led to it. How come? How come? All right, so let me take a little look in my chat here. What happened to human trigger? What if it is a church, is a member of the church, you're not comfortable with being in their presence due to a misunderstanding that is difficult? How do you deal with it? Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to deal with that right now, because it's not exactly a habit. Are you in the habit of not speaking to church member that you're not comfortable with? If that is a habit that you have, then again we need to go back now to find out who are you, because if the who you are is the kind of Christian that we would read about in the New Testament, then that behavior needs to change. All right. So we need to go back and look at it. Why would you have that mindset? What is it that would cause you to not want to talk to somebody because you have a misunderstanding with a brother, with family member, church's family? What is it about you that would entertain that mindset? That's where I would go first of all, because there is some payoff. I don't know if the payoff is punishing the person or being in a position where you feel as if you are wiser or purer or whatever. I don't know what it is, but there is some payoff for having that viewpoint. And I think we need, if one were to look at that payoff, then you can unpack that to find out, is it healthy? Is there a better mindset to have? Those kinds of things. All right. So that's the side of it I'm looking. I'm only looking at it from a habits point. There's another series that we did on conflict, which is another set of approaches that we could take. But I want to focus on habits. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to go more deeply into that, but yeah, payoff is important. All right. So let me see if I can get in some of this in this session, which would be to look at new habits. And some of this information is generally there around, but some people express it more clearly than others. So I think I would use Wendy's approach. I want to give her credit for this. So the first thing would be to derail existing habits, right? And create some kind of a new window. Basically, her idea is the same thing as the environmental engineering, which is to change the context. So, you know, what she has the idea is that, okay, if I am in this situation where this is a habitual practice and I'm not happy with it, then is there some way that I can create an opportunity to act in another way? That's basically what it is. So instead of beating up on myself and instead of feeling guilty, and that's, by the way, it's a payoff, yes? And when we do this thing that we don't want to do, we feel very guilty about it. And the concept then is that it's okay now because I was guilty. I punished myself for it. So the next time it happens, you know, I can punish myself even more. I can feel even more guilty. So, you know, it's not that I'm a bad person. Look, you don't see how guilty I am. That's the payoff. So I can keep on doing it because now I have cleansed myself of the problem because I am guilty. You don't see? I can even repent and do it again. So going back to the solution, when they said, yeah, find some other things. It's the same idea of the environmental engineering, changing the concept. Other key is the repetition. Now, this is where we start to look at a really fundamental thing. Go back to the lawn, the open lot between your house and the bus stop. Yes? The path is there. You start to cut across the lawn. It is clear. It's, after a while, it's just dirt. You know, grass on both sides, but it's just dirt. And it is because of repetition that happens. Now you can do that for new habits as well. You can create new paths. And here's the beauty. Here is the beauty of this whole neural thing. If you decide now to walk around, take the long thing and walk on the sidewalk and go around to the bus stop, after a while, the grass is going to grow back where the path was. And you're going to have a nice new lawn. That's how you get rid of the behaviors. If you starve it, you don't keep on doing it. Stop. Do other behaviors. What happens afterwards is that the grass grows back. So those neural pathways are erased, new ones are created. Now that can take time, and that's where the problem is, that we sometimes are too impatient. You know, we write the resolution in January and expect that it does happen. So we have been doing this for 20, 30, 40, I don't know how many years we have been doing the same things, and we just expect overnight. So in order for the new habits to be ingrained, the new pathways to be actually dug out, we need time. I'm seeing the 254. Most persons talk about a 60 odd, somewhere in that region. But yeah, I'm not going to question Wendy. All right. But consistent is not, you know. And then you must ensure that there are stable context cues that trigger the new pattern. The same way that we look out to see clouds, so we know rain is coming. The same way we need to set up things that prompt us to do the action. Right, okay. I'm gonna have to stop at this slide. All right, so basically, let us look at flossing. I think this is an example that you used, which is good. All right, so let us say you want to start to floss on a regular basis. All right. The best thing to do is to place the floss, you know, the container right beside the toothbrush and the toothpaste. Yeah, you don't have to put, if you lock it up in the medicine cabinet, believe me, you don't remember. But do that all the time. And here's a key analogy now that I want to say. It is better now to brush before you floss and use that as a trigger to floss. What am I saying? Instead of saying, okay, fine, you know, I want to start to floss, I'm going to floss before I brush. It doesn't work as well because there's no precedence, there's no trigger, there's nothing going on to trigger the flossing. You're going to have to remember now to start by flossing. Yeah. So let us say you have the floss up in the medicine cabinet and you're saying, okay, I'm going to develop this new habit. So I need to remember now to go into the medicine cabinet, take out the floss, flush, and then brush. That's a steep curve. It's better to have it beside this thing. So as you brush, it's there, you put on the toothbrush, boom, you take up the floss. So what am I saying here now? I'm saying if you want to create new habits, the best thing to do is to align it, set it up with things that are happening already. Set it up with habits that you have already so that they can get a trigger from things that come. So this is just an automatic addition. That's what I would want to suggest that you would get from the floss idea, is that don't look at the new habit and have it by itself, trying to fight for itself. Try to set up an environment, go back to the same environmental engineering, engineer your environment, yes? So if you want to become a Christian, yeah, don't just sit down in a corner by yourself. Maybe you could associate with people who are of like the faith that you want to acquire or get into. Meet with them, have discussions with them. Then the chances of this becoming a part of you might be greater. Let me share one last thing, and then I turn over to my administrator. Here's an example. And this is strange. Don't laugh at it. This is strange. There's a gentleman who wanted to lose weight, but he definitely wasn't into the gym idea. So his coach actually, said to him, "What I want you to do, and I'm going to tell you the basis of the concept. And what I want you to do is to go to the gym, but I want you to promise you're not going to spend more than 5 minutes in the gym. I want you to go to the gym every day. I want you to go into the gym. If you want to do a couple, but at the end of 5 minutes, I want you to go back home. Not more than 5 minutes. If you want to do any exercise there or not, but I just want you to go to the gym every morning and promise me that you're not going to spend more than 5 minutes." Weeks after, the person did it. And then in dialogue, he said, I'm going to this place every single day. I might as well start to do some exercising. And he ended up losing 100 pounds. The idea is, I don't remember the person who did it, it's not my idea, is this 2-minute idea that if you have something, break it down into those first 2 minutes. Yeah. So if you want to start to exercise, etc., put on your shoes, etc., and just do that. No, you don't have to do anything. Don't go any further. You want to start to read, get the book, look at the preface. Do not commit to the whole hog. Just start with one little step. And that's the idea here, is that if you want to create a new habit, don't think of the massive where we want to go. Forget the end station for the time being. Just get yourself in the ballpark. That's what this man was doing. That's what the coach was saying to him. Just get yourself to show up for the new habit. Just show up. You want to learn keyboard? Open it. Maybe you just run the scale. Don't try to do anything too fancy. Just do that, but do that every day. And once you start to get to that space, then now you are ready to move to the next phase. I'm going to have to leave it there because we are very respectful of our time. So the next session is on the, where are we now? 13th. Can't count. Can't be. The 20th. 20th. Admin, I could just, Craven, you know, if there's anybody that had a critical question, we could take one. But yeah. Okay, I'm just going to read through some of the chat. Brother Andre.
Yes, sir. I mean, I don't have anything. Well, I mean, not yet.
No,
I don't have anything. I mean, but not yet. This is good stuff, good foundation. As you've rightly stated, there are other perspectives.
Absolutely.
But I like the ones that has been introduced thus far. I love start with 2 minutes. Start with 2 minutes. And you know, brush first and then floss after. I mean, just those little tidbits. It is very, very useful, and I hope at minimum we can leave with some information to start with something. That's the only thing to say. Good stuff.
Good. Thank you. All right. Okay. Hopefully, lady with her volume control or whatever. All right. So, all right. Just to be sure and be clear about the question about the church thing, is just I wanted to sort of keep a clear path as to what it is that we're doing, and so I am open, for example, to have a discussion about it outside. If you want to send a note in a private chat to me, then I can connect and talk about it. All right. So the next session is the 20th, as we mentioned. Some words of encouragement that are here, and I think that's it. All right. So thank you, Mr. Admin, if you would take over. So that's where the recordings are. I need to copy this as well. I see people still around. Does anybody have a burning, really hot fire question that they need to answer? Something that was said that's bothering you or that you want to clarify? I'd be happy so to do. Thank you for the encouragement. We're going to go deeper though and actually give you more practical steps as well in terms of dealing with this issue.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Smith. So as was mentioned, everyone, we continue this discussion with habits on the 20th of February. We invite you to share the information, share the link with your family and friends that you believe these sessions can be a benefit to. In the chat, you will also see a link to our church website, and specifically directing you to the series. That's a Nav Live series recordings that are, I think they date back to 2020, early last year when we had these online sessions. So you can review and go back at the various topics that we have since the inception of this program online. We invite you to meet with us tomorrow for worship. We meet at 77 Red Hills Road. At 77 Red Hills Road, right beside Debco Cleaners. And or you can use the same link. We begin at 9 a.m. to 10:30 in the morning, and we break and come online at 11:15 for our Bible classes. So that's tomorrow, 9 o'clock to 10:30, 77 Redis Road, or using this Zoom link. Thank you so much for attending, for giving us this opportunity to educate you in this manner. Thanks very much to Brother Smith and Brother Allen Casey, our presenters. I bid everyone a good night and please be safe. Bye-bye.